Hey guys, it's Matt, welcome to SpeedTutor, and today we're going to be looking at a URP based outline shader which uses screen space outlines to do the effect, and it uses the render pipeline asset. To do it, you can add a little component, set some layers, and create the outlines that you want. And do be sure to check out all the links in the descriptions for all the best savings in game dev Unity for this month, and check out my Patreon to get access to over 115 different scripts, assets and projects. So a big shout out to Robin Siebold, and I apologize if that's not the way that you pronounce his name because I'm terrible at that. He's got a video on his YouTube showing you how to create it, which is beautifully edited, and you can also check him out on Twitter, and I'll put all the links below. And we're going to take a look at the asset that he's created, which you can get hold on GitHub, and we'll look at the setting up today and what you can use it to achieve. So if you navigate to the link in the description, which is his Unity URP outlines, you can see his GitHub page, and it's got some basic setup, but there's just some key things that you need to remember. But of course, if you've got any ways to make this better, do comment down below. At the top here where it says code, we can just click to download the zip, and make sure you download the zip wherever you want. And then once you've got that, you can right click the outline folder and just extract into the place that you've got. So we can just then copy all of these assets that we need for the outline with a license and otherwise. And I've got a brand new URP scene in Unity 2021.3.4. I'm just going to right click and show in Explorer. I'm going to open the assets folder, and I'm just going to paste the outlines and the license in. It will add the scripts for us. So we need to find the URP settings, so whichever renderer you're using. So I'm using the high fidelity, which is by default. You need to make sure that you enable a depth texture, or this effect won't be able to work, and it's best to turn off MSAA in the rendering of the URP asset. Now if we click on the main URP high fidelity renderer, or whichever one you're using, you can click the drop down to add a new render effect, and you can say we want to add screen space outlines. Then we get a bunch of settings here. Now we want to change this slightly so that I want my two things, and it's based on layers. So I want these two objects, these two particular characters, to have a layer so they can be seen. So I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm just going to call this layer outlined. So when I select these, everything with the outlined will have an outline. And then I'm going to go to the props, and I'm going to add another layer and call this no outline. And then when I go to my props, I've added no outline on these. Now if we go back to the high fidelity renderer, we need to make sure that it's on rendering after opaque, so we'll have an issue. Then we can look at the outlines mask. It can be outlined, so we only want to actually outline the ones on a specific layer, and then I don't want to outline the ones that I want to occlude. Then we've got a bunch of settings that we can set, and what I can do is I'm going to set this to red just so we can see it nice and easily. Now on the rendering at the top where you've got the forward rendering path, put the depth priming mode on auto. Now we do start getting the outline around all the objects. And you can see that we can set the outline scale, but we're getting some of the other geometry that we don't want. Now, I don't know if this is a particular issue, and maybe somebody can mention this to me otherwise, but the thing is, if you drop down on the view space normals and set the background alpha color to 0, we don't get any more issues with the actual rendering of an outline on other objects that are not in the particular layer. So everything on that other layer will not be rendered. And of course, we can still affect the settings, so the thickness of this, we can change the color, as I mentioned, however that you want that to be. You can select the depth threshold, so how far away that it would render. You can set normal threshold, so because this effect is based on finding where the normals would be on a particular object and then creating the outline based on that. So you can set that, the angle threshold, and other settings within there. But as you can see, I can grab a particular asset and put it through the floor, and you can see that the effect isn't rendered on the outline, and there is certain settings that you can adjust to make this happen. So if we put the background color back to full, and we push the character under the floor, and then we go back to the background color again and set that either to white or another color, we can see that the character is rendered through the floor, but we get a big mishmash of the whole environment. Now if you set the depth texture all the way up and then adjust the Robert Cross multiplier all the way down to the bottom, you can actually have the effect, and you could even set it to white here, and you would get the full effect of rendering through geometry. Now, I don't know if this way is performant or the best way, but it's just a couple of examples where you can choose different. So if you need to render the geometry through other pieces, you still get the outline no matter what you're doing. So I hope this outline effect helps you out and you check it out, mess around with the settings, post down in the comments what you find, and if you find any issues, fixes, and be sure to post on Robin's GitHub if you find any problems or any fixes specifically for any issues, and do let me know about performance. But I wanted to show everybody this because I think it's a really nice thing to get straight into for a really quick free outline for URP. So big thanks to Robin, and do be sure to check out my Patreon to get access to over 150 different scripts, assets and projects you cannot find anywhere else. Do come and check out my great assets on the Unity Assets store for massive discounts on all my great assets. Come and join the Discord to have a chat with everybody there. And a big thank you to all my patrons, including Peter Steiner, Hoglan Nigan, Raheem Whittaker, Gene Pommier, Manos Pericast, Terence Conrad, Gage Linston, Walter Dunson, Joseph Newman, René Leisure, Topher Chambers, Kreshnik Halili, Christian Sellen, Benjamin Shankel, Alex Shen, Alyssa Faden, Daniel Getterjank, Lebrons, Stephen Mormon, and Rob Winkle, and everybody else who comes to watch the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Cheers.